Good morning, my name is Isabel Irvine and this is Melanie Hyman.
Hello.
Today both of us will be discussing the importance of difference and dominance in a school environment. After all, Australia is becoming more multicultural than ever. The odds of having a child or children from a different country in your classroom is very high in today's modern society.
So what or who is classified as a diverse person? Someone who is from a different country or someone who can't speak English? Kathy Daniels and Lyndon McDonald state the definition of diversity as having a range of differences. This difference can relate to certain things including gender, ethnic origin, and disability factors. If these differences are valued in a community school environment, there is a positive attitude and belief towards diversity. The teaching curriculum must support all cultures and not favour one over the other. The topic of diversity in schools would aim towards the primary school age group ranging from 8 to 12 years. Overall, these diverse children could allow us as pre-service teachers to make lesson plans around the concept of language and race.
An event which occurred recently reported in the Herald Sun on May 23, 2011, titled West Sydney Schools Face White Flight, by Laura Speranza, discusses the fact that parents are removing their white Anglo-Australian children to private schools due to the fact of multicultural children of all races, including the Asian, Lebanese, Muslim and Aborigine race, taking over the public schools in Sydney.
Statistics state that at Auburn Girls High, only 15 of the 782 students enrolled are Anglo-Australian, despite there being a larger Anglo-Australian population living in the suburb of Auburn. This statistic is quite alarming to parents of the white Anglo-Australian race, as these students and parents feel different in terms of being marginalised and are seen as outsiders of the dominant group of the multicultural children and parents who see the world differently. This therefore affects the axis of identity, the self and other, and the zone of difference, space between us and others. A child who is of the white Anglo-Australian race will then be placed differently on the axis and zone of difference compared to a child of multicultural background.
In the article, Dr. Ho argues the fact that these public schools in Sydney are turning and being viewed as ghettos by many Anglo-Australian citizens and families. She states that if you have a school that is 98% or 97% migrant background kids and hardly any background Anglo-Australians there, then that is a ghetto that doesn't reflect the diversity of society we live in. This therefore arguing the point that this multiculturalism in these public schools is ghetto, as Anglo-Australians are barely existent. This overall event can connect to both the national and community identity.
Why is this so, Isabella?
Well, Melanie, diversity is a major aspect in today's society. All across the world it is evident and exists. This is then displaying a national identity in multicultural children and parents who have moved from their homes in which they originally lived to here in Australia. The community identity, however, affects everyone in and around the area. In this instance, public and private schools, teachers, parents and students are all influenced by this.
Very good point. This overall issue identifies the multicultural group as dominant, while the white Anglo-Australian race is seen as different and underprivileged in the context of this article. This is a very provoking event that is confronting to any reader who comes across it.
So how do we teach this event and the notions of difference and dominance to primary school age children between the ages of 8 to 12 years?
Well, Isabella, for the notions of difference and dominance, the curriculum would aim towards all subject areas ranging from art to soc relating to the concept of diversity. Firstly, in a soc lesson, children each would research a different country of their choice and discuss to other class members the way in which their chosen country lives in terms of values, beliefs, wealth, disease, religion, traditions, what food is eaten, how they dress, and customs in which the country has. These children would then see each country is different from one another and which countries are dominant over others. Another lesson that could be used to incorporate the notions of difference and dominance is an art lesson.
How would you conduct this lesson and why? Would you allow this lesson to be an individual task or a group task?
This lesson would be conducted individually. The classroom would have a number of paintings from different countries displayed. The children would then write about each picture by discussing what they liked and disliked and how it could be improved. This would be conducted over a week, where a child discusses an image each day. Children would then compare what they have written and discuss which images from different countries are more powerful over others.
Could parents, caregivers of all races be involved in any lessons at all? How?
Certainly. In an English lesson, parents may come into the classroom that are from diverse cultures and discuss stories in which they remember or have. Students, whilst listening to these stories, would take notes. These children would then realise that some parents have more knowledge and past experiences than others. After all parents have talked about their experience, the students would then write their own experiences in which they have had whilst growing up. For example, moving houses, changing schools, making close friends, etc. They can then illustrate this by writing poems or narratives. Children would then realise that each of their stories are different from one another.
What about a hospitality lesson where volunteer parents and caregivers and teachers participate in a cooking lesson where the children make and prepare traditional food from their chosen country from the previous SOS lesson? Could this work?
Yes, Isabella. Children would firstly see the variety of food that has been made throughout the lesson, viewing each other's final product. The differences of colour and the way it looks would therefore gain children's interest. Children would then consume each of these final products and discuss which one they prefer in regards to taste, look and smell.
So how would this relate to power and dominance?
The dominance would be the food that the children have acquired taste for, compared to something in which the children have not tried before.
Excellent point. What about a lesson relating to the subject of media infotech, where children research on the internet, certain countries versus Australia? For example, how children learn, what their houses are like compared to here in Australia. Children would overall benefit from this as they are able to see images and video documentaries for themselves, displaying how different things are compared to here in Australia. These children would then see which countries overpower others in terms of criteria chosen. This lesson would continue on from the previous hospitality lesson.
Could there be days where children celebrate different cultures and play different games and activities?
Yes, there can be, but these days must be very rare and only occur on max 1 day per term. A whole day is very time consuming to organise, and white Anglo-Australian and other culture children may become bored and feel left out. Small lessons on culture diversity across a range of subjects, however, can benefit children's education.
Why is this so? Do children get a better understanding for the notions of differences and dominance?
In each of these lessons discussed previously, each child can benefit as they begin to understand that difference and dominance can relate to anything, including diversity in the classroom. Parents who get involved in these activities allows for the reduction of discrimination in the classroom and community.
The event in which multicultural children and parents are dominating over white Anglo-Australian public schools allows children to be aware of their surroundings and where they stand on the axis of identity in terms of their race. Children from diverse cultures must feel as equally important as white Anglo-Australian citizens. In this event, the opposite is seen where multiculturalism is favoured in public schools at Sydney, making Australian parents and students feel marginalised and not important. The event shows identities of both community and national. Multiculturalism is worldwide and in the event affects the community of Sydney and the people within it, including parents, teachers and children.
The ideas and lesson plans that have been discussed for the classroom discourse hopefully make you all aware of diversity and how controversial it really is. Today, Australia's population of roughly 22 million is one of the most culturally and linguistically diverse populations of the world. As Australians, we must respect this diversity and encourage it to continue for generations to come.